Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's Dealer On webinar, How to Rev Up Your Content Marketing Strategy in Just 90 Days. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealer On. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealer On, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, and we're best known for our search engine optimization, our best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning website designs, including the newly launched Chameleon Responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that Dealer On is still the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads? Well, then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have Eric Milch as our presenter today. Eric is a successful automotive digital marketing strategist and president of Command Z Automotive Consulting, specializing in search marketing and UI/UX mobile design solutions. Eric's contributions to AuctionDirectUSA.com helped create the #1 independent used car retailer in the U.S. 3 years running, and they continue to be extremely successful today. He also helped create one of the most successful automotive professional communities at DrivingSales.com as their Director of Product Strategy. His love of cars, marketing, and technology is the perfect recipe for staying ahead of the curve, creating new solutions, and helping the automotive community as much as possible. Eric is a respected and active member of the automotive community, and he can be reached at em@ericmilch.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we'll respond by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of the webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And I also want to let you know that Dealer On is excited to announce their involvement at the upcoming Dealer Think Tank in Washington, D.C., August 14th. The Dealer Think Tank is spearheaded by a handful of dynamic subject matter experts who provide strategies, discuss ideas, challenge ideology, and create solutions for real-world problems facing the automotive industry. The think tanks have been garnering tremendous praise for their intensely informative, fun-filled education workshops, so don't miss it. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, well, don't worry, Dealer On's here to help you with an exclusive code. Now, the last few weeks we were offering a $100 discount, but today, this discount code is going to score you 50% off of the ticket price. Just use the discount code on the screen when you register. And if you message me directly right now during this webinar, I might be able to get you into the Dealer Think Tank for free. And for more information, go to dealerthinktank.com. Remember, this think tank is in Washington, D.C., so if you're going to go, please write on into me and let me know where you're at if you're in the tri-state area right there, all right? We'd love to see you there. And guess what? Our good friends at Command Z Automotive Consulting, they're giving away 2 fantastic prizes today on the webinar. First, one of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a selfie stick with Bluetooth remote. Oh, check that out. I so want one. Here is a shot of the selfie stick in action. Isn't that so cool? Next, one more lucky webinar attendee is going to also win a mini Jambox Bluetooth speaker. That is 2 really cool prizes, and you could be a winner today. All you have to do is stay tuned for details after Eric's presentation, and you could be walking away with one of these amazing prizes. Now, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey, so fill it out because we're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. Today, we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn how to rev up your content marketing strategy in just 90 days. Eric, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you for that awesome intro. You did such a good job of that.
Oh, you're so kind. Eric, it has been far too long. I needed you on my show, and I finally got you, so I'm so very pleased that you're here. And audience, I got a sneak peek at his slide deck. Wow, you are in for a great show, and there is so much information we have to cover today. Eric, why don't you say hi to the audience and then also tell them the kinds of things that we're going to be learning about today.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I always get excited sharing this stuff with the community and everybody, and it gets me pumped up to do this because usually my wife tunes out everything I have to say after about 8 or 9 minutes. So this is great. So what I want to try to do today, guys, is really help try to change the mindset about what's going on with today's today's digital marketing strategies and today's changing ecosystem. I also want to make sure I try to help the managers that are on the call really just be a little bit more aware of the things that they need to be measuring and some of the things that they need to be managing. Because while a lot of people are aware that these things are changing, they just might not know where to start. And obviously for the marketers on the call and people that are actually in the trenches doing this stuff, I want to try to help point out those things that they should really be focusing on so they can actually execute this. And then obviously at the end, please, I would love to take some of your questions and try to help you out with additional Q&A session. So to get started, this is a great story that I'd love to share with everybody just in terms of how to change that mindset and really what you need to pay attention to in terms of what Google is looking for.
Is this your desktop?
Not a chance, not a chance. Hopefully nobody on the call has a desktop that looks like this. I'm sure everybody has seen somebody. Maybe there's somebody in your store that has this. But the point is, if you have your desktop like this, it's obviously very cluttered, and it's unorganized. You've got files, you've got pictures, you've got documents, you've got folders. And on top of that, you may not even have the correct labels and the correct organization to this. This is exactly what is happening with today's websites, and many of you on the call, unfortunately, may be experiencing this right now. So hopefully that's what today's webinar will help clear up for you. Because bottom line is, if your website is not organized with the proper organizational structure, with the right, obviously the right meta descriptions, the titles, the content, the context of the pages, all of that good stuff that goes into making the pages findable, basically, and discoverable for Google, they can't find it, they can't serve it up, and they certainly can't rank it up as well as you would like it to. So what we want to do is clean this desktop up. And the first one, we'll jump right into it. This is a great tool. Everybody out there has seen keyword tools. Everybody has been told to go use them. Well, I'm trying to lead the charge that you don't really need to start off directly in a keyword tool that's just going to give you keyword phrases. And I'll explain why. Real simple. Google is moving away from becoming a keyword index engine to becoming an answer engine. And in order to do that, they're looking for keyword phrases. A lot of times you might have heard of the term conversational search. So this keyword tool very simply will pull off in one fell swoop at least 750, at least up to 750 results per keyword search that you do. And again, it's keywordtool.io. It's web-based. You can pull that up right on your browser. Just simply put in a keyword phrase, hit search, and then boom, you'll have a ton of results for you. I just did one for Baltimore used car dealers, and you can see the amount of results that came up. Just this was just the top portion of the page as well. There was a ton more below the fold. And you can see all the different options that come in there. And again, at this point, I'm not really worried about the search counts for these. I'm looking for inspiration, because what these are pulling from are the actual Google autocomplete searches that are being done each and every day by everybody around the world. And so by having basically a search keyword tool aggregator like this, it's going to make it really, really efficient. And you can see I put on here in terms of, for every slide, for everybody to be able to see, I included not only the time frame that it should take you to do this exercise for all the keywords for one site. I'm estimating this will take you about 30 days if you really go through and do the step-by-step process in terms of finding the keyword phrases, scrubbing them against your competitors, see what they rank for, see obviously where you rank, and then go back, and then you can start using another keyword tool like the the Google Keyword Planner. That type of process is going to, again, make it very, very simple. And again, I've also put the importance level on here for all of these actions. So you can see here I've labeled this one as high. This is very, obviously a very high topic. A lot of people have heard, and you might have read this and seen this before, but a lot of people saying, well, keywords are dead, SEO is dead. In my mind, as long as there's a search engine, keywords are going to be necessary, because obviously the search engines need a way to be able to rank the content. And obviously the keywords are these keyword phrases that we're pulling out. These are essentially pushing this new concept of what's called topic modeling. And I've made it very easy in all the slides as well. If anybody wants to tweet some of this stuff out and share these little gems with your friends or in the community, I've made it very simple for you. There's your tweet that you can share for this. So again, check this keyword tool out, keywordtool.io.
Okay, that's a first. That is, I have to say, Eric, that's a first. No one has ever actually put what they should put in the tweet. That's awesome.
This next category is just the architectural issues. The architectural issues are very, very important, obviously, because Google needs to be able to make sure that they're looking at, what they're looking at is organized properly. Now, again, you might have seen there's a lot of people out there sharing different grading tools. There's a HubSpot grading tool. There's a bunch of other free tools out there that you can simply pop your dealership website URL into their tool, and it'll assign you a grade or a letter or whatever they want to assign it. My problem with those tools are they're usually designed to sell you additional products. So this is a great tool that we've used for a long, long time. Again, they have a free version of it. There is a paid version. We'll just simply give you a deeper layer of information, but it's called Screaming Frog. Just Google Screaming Frog. It should be the first result. You can click that. You can download the application for free. This free tool will give you more than enough information that you need to know in terms of the site architecture and any of the site structure items for your website. I'm recommending that you use this tool. Pop your website in there. I just grabbed a random one, a random dealership in here, and I ran this tool. And again, you can see these results here. I'm telling you on this call right now, everybody, just focus in on two things, and it'll give you a great head start. Focus on the titles and the descriptions that this tool will pull out for you. Because everybody, I'm sure you've heard before, your titles and your descriptions need to be unique, and they need to be individualized, and they need to be specific. Well, the problem is, well, where do I go to find out which titles and descriptions need to be fixed? Well, that's how this tool will come into play. And what I've done here is just a screenshot of the actual meta descriptions. And if you look in the middle of the page, you can see, obviously, these are vehicle descriptions, VDP pages, but you can see there's a bunch of duplicate items on there in terms of meta descriptions. You can go through and it'll simply pull this out. You can export the file. You can click at the top, see the meta keywords, the page titles, the response codes, whatever, however deep you want to get. But again, I'm just telling you for this purpose, start with the page titles and the descriptions. Again, this will take you about 10 minutes for your site to get the information. Once you get it, that's when you start putting it into the rest of the content plan that we'll go through on the rest of the webinar. And again, very, very high importance level here for you. Again, that one is called Screaming Frog.
Are you ready for a poll question?
I sure am. Go ahead.
All right, here we go. Audience, here's your first of 3 poll questions. It's on your screen now. And of course, we would love it if you would participate in these poll questions. So the first poll question is, do you currently have a consistent content marketing strategy in place now? Please select one of the following answers. Yes, we are content kings. Is it, yeah, kinda, but we're not doing very well with it? Is it, no, but we're thinking about it. I know we need one, but we haven't put one together yet. How about, no, management would never spend time or money on that? Or I have no idea. I have no idea if we currently have a consistent content marketing strategy in place. Whatever your answer is, we want to know. Once we get a majority of those votes in, we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. And thank you so much, audience. Boy, almost everyone's already voting. Thank you so much. That's awesome. By the way, Eric, I wanted to let you know, Joey wrote in and he said, holy cow, the webinar just started and I already found some new content ideas. So thank you so much for that, and great comment, Joey. We hope you find more. Okay, let's close this poll and share the results. Are you ready for this, Eric?
Sure am.
All right, here we go. Well, the majority, 51% of today's audience said, yeah, kinda, but we're not doing very well with it. So that's a lot of people. I can't remember the last time I had over 50% actually vote on one of my webinar poll questions like that. 27% of today's audience said yes, that they're content kings. 16% said no, but they're thinking about putting together a content marketing strategy. And then you have an even 3% that says no, management never go for that, and another 3% that says I have no idea if we even have one of those. So,
Wow.
so Eric, is that kind of what you were expecting?
Yeah, that's very close. I honestly thought it would be about 40%. It said yeah, kinda. So that's pretty close. But that's great to see. I know by comparison, just about a year ago, I did another informal poll with about the same size audience that we have today, and that was about 20%. So the trend is there, and it's great to see that there's that many people on this call that are that aware of that. And hopefully these items that I'm going through will help bolster those efforts as well.
Yeah, and also think about it too. 20% said that they don't have one. They flat out said, no, we don't have one. So for whatever reason, they don't have one. So are you telling us now that we should have a consistent content marketing strategy in place?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes right along with how I opened it up. Everybody, with the fact that Google is moving away from keyword indexing, because what they want to do, and you have to keep this in mind, this is a very, very strong point. Google is trying to do everything they possibly can to serve up the very best answer. And when I say very best, what they mean by that is the most trusted answers. And we all know where the most trusted info comes from. It comes from people, individuals. It doesn't come from marketers. And the way that this entire trend for this content ecosystem is changing is obviously from genuine, helpful, educational, entertaining content. And the better that content can be, the more trusted it's going to appear. And obviously, if you can create that trusted appearance, that's where the authority comes in. And that's what everybody's goal should be with every single page they're ever creating, is to create more authority. The greater the authority, the higher the ranking. That's as simple as it can possibly be explained in terms of what Google is trying to do each and every day with billions and billions of pages that exist on the web. All right, ready to go on? Liana, did we lose you?
Oh, no, I'm here. Please, go on.
All right, well, the next item here is for the navigational issues to your website. And this is a couple quick screenshots that I grabbed just to show. I'm sure a lot of people have a website right now that have your drop-downs. And here's the screenshot that I took from the top navigation of a website. And this is just a random website. Somebody's from this push-up is not pick out on you, but we are going to talk about you a little bit. So we've got the new vehicles, the pre-owned, and the financing drop-downs. And what we see here is a very common stuffing of the drop-downs that makes it very confusing. Now think about it in terms of web usability and in terms of actual intent. If somebody is clicking on the new vehicles category, they are looking for new vehicles. They're probably not looking for free stuff, or they may not be intentionally looking for exchanges or rewards or anything like that. So my recommendation would be for something like this. You can see here, I'm just going to block out essentially the non-essential categories and lower level pages for this. This is how I would leave the new vehicles drop down. And then you've got the pre-owned section. You can see I would take all of these items out. I would actually only wind up leaving these 3. And then the same for the financing. We've got multiple pages that are appearing like that exchange program. That was on every single one of those. The rewards program, that was on every single one of these. Leave those items for your specific call to actions, your image icons, either header, somewhere in the middle of the page, or maybe you can tack them down to the footer. But those are the things that you can be left for other directional activities further down on the page. Leave the navigation for those main items. You know what the main purpose of the people coming to the site is. Obviously, the end result is to get them to the cars. So in the navigation, Get them to those important things that matter and make sure you organize it properly. There's no reason to put the certified pre-owned down under the new vehicles. And I know there's a lot of speculative thought process here, but again, I'm basing this on my own practical experience. Within these choices, you're giving people the contained choice. And we all know how beneficial contained choices. And again, this would probably take you about 5 days to really go through and make the decision in terms of, okay, what can I move around, what can I eliminate, where can I put some of these items in there. I would assign that the medium level importance.
Hey, Eric. Eric, your audio is breaking up very badly, and we didn't catch the last probably 2 minutes of what you said.
Oh, no.
Are you on wireless?
Yes, I am.
Okay, can you maybe get closer to your
Sure.
Your
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm sorry. Could you
No
go over
problem.
the last minute or so of what you said?
Absolutely. What I was saying here, guys, is that for these navigation items, I would strongly recommend to reorganize and take out the non-essential items that are not necessarily part of that. I'll go back and take these off in case you missed that. But you can see all the extra items in these drop-downs. Take those items out and make those into stronger call to action somewhere else on the page. There's only, for instance, this vehicle exchange program. It's a very helpful page, probably has great content. It's definitely something that your shoppers might be interested in. But again, it doesn't necessarily need to be under the new vehicles and the pre-owned and the financing. Make these drop-downs simpler to use and just block that stuff out and simplify the results. And again, I had said to Eliana that this is going to take, I would estimate it about 5 days to really go through and choose which items need to come out. And I assigned a medium importance level to that as well.
Thank you so much for going over that information again. I really appreciate it. Please continue.
No problem. The next section is for internal linking, and I'm lumping a couple other topics into this as well. And this is all about content structure. No dead-end pages is the term I like to use. This was an actual screenshot of the page. Great content, in my opinion. This is very, very helpful. However, it's lacking a couple of key items. It could, in fact, you see all the bold text on there. Those could be built out into actual conversational search queries in terms of who owns it and upfront costs, future value. Forming those into the using the typical convention of a standard question rather than just a simple short snippet. And that's where the keyword tool can tie into this, and you start just searching around for different phrases. What are the best cars to lease? What are my upfront costs on a lease? Who owns the car at the end of a lease? Again, being a little bit more specific, what you're doing with this is you're essentially building out the context of the page, and being able to apply greater context to the content is what Google wants. And everybody knows the classic phrase, content is king. Well, I love the phrase, context is king. I much rather create context around it, because one of the exaggerated examples I tend to use, if I wrote an article about a Jaguar, and if I didn't specify the context of the content, Google is not going to understand if that content that I was writing is about a sports team, about an animal, or about an automotive, or about a vehicle, obviously. The goal of this is obviously to try to create context around the specific topic that you're building. And with that, every page obviously needs a call to action. That's where your CTAs come in. This was essentially a dead-end page. You came in, there was a block of text, that was it. Well, what do I do now? Sure, it might have been helpful, but again, everybody knows website users, they become very dumb when they're using the site and they don't know what to do next. So you have to tell them what to click on. And I would assign a time frame of about 30 days on this. Definitely a high importance on this. And this is also where you start to get in, and this is where part of that time frame is, everybody, to be able to clean out those links that you have. Get rid of those links that say click here. People know what a blue link is. Use that as an opportunity to be able to link this content to another relevant document within your website. So if you're linking it could be a blog post. If you have some type of piece of content in here that would reference trading in the vehicle, link it to the trade-in vehicle page. But again, no more links that say click here or more info or the dreaded directions link. What you're doing, theoretically, what you're doing when you're making a link that says directions or click here, you're optimizing for the term click here. Nobody has ever in the history of the internet gone online and searched for click here to try to find the piece of content. So try to keep that in mind in terms of being relevant with the keyword-rich phrases that you're linking to. Link it to relevant content, and be a little bit more specific with the content questions and the conversational search queries that you have the opportunity to build out this type of content. So next is the social presence. Now again, I'm going to assign a medium level importance level to this in terms of, just in terms of the grand scheme of things that I'm talking about here. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of social and what it can do in terms of extending the digital footprint. But the key is here is, what are we measuring? Everybody always asks me, well, what should we measure? What should we be measuring, and what type of tool should we use? Just for a point of reference, I use a platform called SEO Profiler. Moz does this, Moz.com. Raven Tools does this. There's a lot of platforms out there. But what I would recommend is asking your web provider, or if you're using another consultant or another agency, to provide this type of data. And I think it's very, very important to be able to watch your competitors, and obviously to make sure that you're listening for this. This tool also allows me to monitor the mentions for a client. And on top of that, the manual function of being able to simply search for a specific keyword phrase or a specific activity or even a competitor. I'll tell you a real quick story. I love doing this. When I was at my dealership, we had a location in Raleigh, North Carolina. Right down the road from us was CarMax. I used to just set up random searches, and I would just search for CarMax or buying a car in Raleigh, just different keyword phrases like that. One time I actually happened to catch a woman that was complaining about her service experience at CarMax, and I tweeted back to her. This woman actually wound up coming back to us about a week later, and she tweeted about her experience at our store. So again, I know it's a random shot in the dark, but with the amount of activity, obviously on the mobile phones and especially on those types of channels, to be able to listen for those and just know the competitors and know the keywords, so there's a great opportunity out there. I think the other really big piece of this in terms of the managers on the call or anybody else that's trying to manage this type of activity, what should you be managing? I would strongly recommend watching the amount of inbound traffic that you're getting from these channels. Obviously from Facebook, from Twitter, from Google+, even LinkedIn. I would strongly recommend adding Pinterest to that mix as well. There's great opportunity to watch the amount of traffic that you get from that channel. I would also be managing the number of posts, the total number of posts per channel per week. Is there a set schedule? We had whatever it was, over 50% of the people that are on the call right now that have some type of plan. I would strongly recommend that you're watching the number of posts per channel. And then lastly, I would be watching your hashtag usage. It's very, very easy to be able to brand yourself using that hashtag, and hopefully everybody's aware of the simple stat that any post on Facebook or Twitter gets about 18 to 24% more engagement and activity just by having a hashtag. And by having your hashtag in there as well, it's going to be at least one more item. And Bing just recently announced their increased usage in terms of being able to index and search for hashtags within the search engine. So again, strong opportunities here to be able to watch your own activity and especially track against your competitors. And we could do another poll, Amiana.
Oh, that would be great. And this one is going to be on the local directory, right?
Sure is.
All right, here we go. Audience, we want to know, do you currently have a consistent local directory optimization plan in place at your dealership? Well, If you do, or if you don't, let us know. Please select one of the following answers. Is it yes, and it's working great for us? Yes, but we aren't getting good results from it? No, and we obviously need help with that? Or how about no, management would never spend money on that? Or I don't even know what it is, and I didn't know I needed it. So we want to know, do you currently have a consistent local directory optimization plan in place at your dealership? Once we get a majority of the votes, we'll close this poll and we'll share the results. And by the way, audience, if you're tweeting out, thank you so much. We really, really love that. Please use the hashtag DealerOnWebby. And if you have any questions for Eric, hey, send them on in, because after this presentation, we are going to get to your questions. And Eric is a wealth of knowledge. So, you know, I always like to say try and stump the presenter. Eric, I didn't tell you that part, did I, when I asked you to do a webinar? Well, I tell my audience to try and stump my presenter with their toughest questions and problems. So if you have one, now's a great time to send those in. All right, audience, let's close this poll and share the results. Eric, are you ready for this?
Sure am.
Okay, with almost everyone voting, let's check this out. It's pretty evenly split. We got 29% of today's audience said yes they do, and it's working great. 20% said yes they do, but they're not getting the best results from it. 26% said no, but they do realize that they need help with that. Only 3% said no, management would never spend money on that. And an additional 23% said that they didn't know they needed it, and they didn't know, they don't even know what it is. So, Eric, are you surprised that 23% weren't sure that they were even supposed to be doing something with their local directories?
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that that's high, but it doesn't really surprise me that much. But it's good to know, and hopefully this next section will really really open some eyes to that.
All right, let's go see.
All right. So for those on the call that might have one website and have multiple locations on this piece of the content marketing bucket is again very high importance level. And this is a relatively quick fix. If you do happen to be in a situation like this, where this dealership has 2 locations, but yet it's all on one page, very simple fix. Make 2 pages for each of those locations. Don't put one location on one page. Just simply create a new page for the other area. You may even want, if you want to try to optimize for other locations, and I've done this in the past with some great success, make a page for out-of-town visitors as well. You never know, and again, you will know if you were looking at your data and your analytics, but you can go in and you can check and see where people are coming from. I can tell you, I've seen many instances where a dealership, say on the East Coast, is getting a ton of traffic from, say, either a Midwest or even a West Coast location, and they notice the trend on that, and then you wind up creating, the possibility for this, that I've been able to narrow down over the years, is that this is simply people moving to the area. Well, what do people need to do when they move to an area? They need to get a new car. So if you create a page that is targeting some other locations outside of your marketplace, and you do it smart, and you help make sure it's helpful, and you make sure it's it's at least informative, and it's answering the questions that these out-of-town people might be looking for, then what you're doing is you're matching that context with the content, obviously, and then you're appealing to that user's intent. And that's how you can be able to get around this this constant struggle of being able to optimize for other locations. If you want to go to a pro tip level, what I would do is recommend that you ask your web provider to help you add the schema tags for 800 numbers. There's a brand new schema tag, and if you're not familiar with what schema tags are, ping me and we can talk about it. So it's a whole other webinar, in fact. But for the time being, just ask your web provider if they can help you add the schema tags for 800 numbers. What this does behind the scenes in your code is it designates the 800 number as a customer service 800 toll line, and then you also have the ability to put your local number in there. It's very, very important to be able to have this, both the 800 number and your local number in there. And for those of you that aren't aware, Google is aggregating all of the local, what we call a name, address, and phone number record from these local data providers. And these local data providers are pushing that information back to Google to be able to essentially create this consistency that's needed for the local authority. And so that's why I'm saying this piece is very, very important. A lot of people may not even be aware of how important this is, but this is one of probably the biggest priorities that I'm focusing in right now, right across the board. So again, just the main theme for this, for the tweet again, consistent use of your primary location on page is needed to help build your local authority. That's the best way that I can try to sum that up. And the next item, this is for the local optimization for the offsite. This is a great tool. There's a couple of them out there. I like to use moz.com, their local tool. I've got the web address on there. You can use this to get the initial information. If you want to use the tool, it's only $47 per year per location. That's about as cheap as you can get. There's some other competitive tools out there like Yext. I believe the price is about $400 or $500 a year. Also a great tool. Has a little bit different functionality set on there. But again, the bottom line is you need to go through and do this activity. And very simple. I'll walk you through this. Once you put the name in and you search your dealership, you'll be able to come up with a score on this. And again, the beautiful thing is on this is you're going to be able to see in one fell swoop the 15 major data aggregators and local directories where you're already claimed and which ones are missing, which ones are incomplete, inconsistent, or even the duplicates. So what you need to go through on this is to be able to use a tool like this to claim new listings, finish your complete listings, obviously clean up the inconsistent, and get rid of those duplicates. So as you go through, what I've got here is separate screenshots for everybody to show what those other three tabs are. This first tab is for the incomplete listings. And a lot of people may not realize it. You might think at first, well, this is just nitpicking stuff. But again, what we're doing here, guys, is what we're doing is just playing by Google's rule book. And they're saying that they want to see consistent and complete records on these directories. When they see consistent and accurate data for your business, that's again how you create authority for your business. And you can see here there's these little icons here for the image and the tray there. That's for the icons. And you can see there's different numbers here. You've got missing phone numbers. You've got missing categories. These are very, very important to be able for Google to be able to see what is this business. Let's see the pictures. The pictures have the local data obviously assigned to that where the photo was taken. And then on top of that, they've got the categories. These are all the requirements that Google is looking for to be able to rank your local business. So again, just simply go through this. You can check your listings, add photos, create new listings, and obviously select the right categories. Now the next category for this is the inconsistent items. And I've highlighted out here just exactly how important and nitpicky this is in terms of what Google is looking for. The name of this dealership is Orange Motor Co. and Company. And you can see there's a name on top. It's Orange Motor Co. Inc. Then there's Orange Motors. Then there's an old listing in there, Steve Foster Orange Motors, and then so on and so on. Well, when it doesn't have that consistent record, again, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the importance of the consistency. So very simply, your local NAP info, that's your name, address, and phone number. If it's not matched and updated, that's not going to give you that local search authority. Very, very important to be able to fix this. And this tool makes it very easy to go through and be able to identify which of those items. And then the last one, here's the example of the duplicates. There's a whole slew of duplicates. This tool makes it very easy simply to click the icon, go through, find that duplicate, fix it, and then go through and just follow the process. Usually what happens is it'll either take you directly to that directory and be able to go through their step-by-step process. Some of them will actually just simply open up your email client and it'll create a pre-formatted email that will ask the duplicate record to be eliminated from their directory. So again, fix the dupes and make it very easy for Google to know your business. Now let's do the last poll question.
Last poll question. All right, audience, here you go. It's on your screen now. Please, please let us know what you think about this. How much does your dealership spend in search marketing consulting per month? Please select one of the following answers. Is it nothing? Is it less than $600? Is it between $600 and $1,000? Between $1,000 and $1,500? Or does your dealership spend more than $1,500 per month on search marketing consulting? Once we get a majority of those votes in, we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. And thank you so much, audience, for writing on in your questions for Eric after the show, and also for voting on this poll question. Also want to let you know, still want to know if anyone would like a free ticket to the Dealer Think Tank on August 14th in Washington, D.C. If you do, hey, it's a free ticket. Just write on in to me and let me know that you'd be able to attend. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll get to see you there. All right, audience, let's close this poll and share the results. Eric, are you ready for this?
I sure am.
All right, ready as I'll ever be. Here we go. Okay, let's go in order. 16% of today's audience said, nothing. 31% of today's audience that they spend less than $600. Only 16% said that they spend between $600 and $1,000. 3%, only 3% said that they spend between $1,000 and $1,500. And 34% said that they do spend more than $1,500 a month on search marketing consulting. Eric?
Wow. That's very, very interesting.
What was interesting? That there was only 3%, but it jumps up to 34%?
Yeah, it's an interesting jump, but it really is. But I was honestly not expecting that many to be spending over $1,500.
That's great then, right?
But it's great if they're getting the performance.
True. Agreed. Okay, let's hide this and let's go back to your presentation.
All right. This next one is a great tool that I would very quickly, I'll go through this one. This is a Chrome browser extension called Meta SEO Inspector. I would recommend anybody that's optimizing and managing a website for any website, just go to the Chrome extension store, just Google Chrome browser extension Meta SEO Inspector, you'll get the link, and then just simply click install, and you'll have the icon that appears up in your browser bar. It's just I think the icon is a couple of light bulbs, and then whenever you're on a website, you let it load, click the icon, and this will pop down. I've blown it up a little bit. It's not this large on your actual screen, but it'll give you a quick glance for the page that you're on. I use this obviously to manually check pages, and obviously to be able to really use this as a quick tool to be able to spy on the competitors. If I want to try to find out what another dealer is doing, I just simply use this to be able to look at what their head title and what their description is. And again, this is a great way to be able to see and this is another just pure random, random shot that I pulled up on a dealership I was looking at. And what did we see here in the head title? You can see the head character is 203 characters long. And we all know that our head character count should probably be about 60 to 70 characters. That's about it. So again, there's your simple tweet, 60 to 70 characters for the page titles, 150 to 160 for the descriptions, and actually what Google is looking to measure this on, they're looking to measure it about actually at pixel width and not necessarily characters, but I'll mention that again in the next slide, I believe.
Oh, I have a question for you, Eric, on that slide. What?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 203 characters. And you're saying they need to get it down to 70. Could you give an example of kinds of things that they could do? I mean, they got to cut that down by a third, by 2/3.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
what should it be in the head title?
Really what you need in the head title is there needs to be your brand reference, obviously, and that's your own discretion whether you want it to be the first keyword phrase or the last. There also needs to be a location in there, and obviously there needs to be some type of keyword phrase. You can go over, and believe me, I've gone over on plenty of pages that I've optimized over the years, but I also use that as for experimental purposes and also just to see what type of shock I can get out of Google. But in the long run, you should really be targeting this this character count of about 60 to 70. Right off the bat, there's 6 instances, it looks like, of Ford. You don't need to mention Ford. They're only recognizing the first one anyways. The rest of them are inconsequential. But I'll go through on the next slide here, Eliana, for everybody. I've written some samples. If I had my dealership, this is how I would be optimizing, and I would just I would choose for a shorter name myself. If I could go for Milch Motors, that's what I would choose for this. But again, it's just a quick hypothetical for you on this. The top 3, these are just some examples of how I would organize my head title, my page title, for my dealership website. Just basic ones. I've got an option where Milch Motors is at the front. I've got a keyword phrase. I'm trying something, hopefully I'm doing well. I can use this. And again, keep in mind, these are not set in stone final choices, especially for the traditional dealers on the call. Always rely on your dealership compliance covenants for what you can and can't say in your page titles and descriptions to make sure that you don't get dinged for anything on that. But if you are well within the confines of your compliance, then by all means try to use something like a number in there or anything else like that that's going to get some attention. The next bucket on here are some examples of how I would try to optimize some lower level pages, say like a trade-in page, a used car page, or a lease or a lease or buy finance type of page. And again, you can see I've got questions in here. I've got examples of that. I like using the superlatives of like best or top or anything like that. Just it's going to be able to get a little bit more attention, and also obviously just in the off chance that somebody is in fact searching something with best. And a lot of people search like that, so to be able to grab a portion of those searches is definitely within the realm of possibility. In the last segment, go ahead.
I was going to say, I noticed you didn't use any telephone numbers in your page titles. I know a lot of dealerships put their telephone number in their page titles.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up. I actually do recommend using the phone number. Oh. However, I typically tend to throw that into the contact page because, again, I'm trying to be smart about what the user's intent is if they're actually on the or searching for the contact. If somebody's searching for the contact info, they're either looking for hours or directions or the phone number. So I put that there. If somebody's looking for used cars, or they're looking for trade-in or whatever they might be searching for, the initial intent is obviously to answer that question. The intent is not to get directly not to directly get to a phone number at the first shot. And obviously, if they do get there, there is obviously going to be a phone number there. But I'm trying to appeal to the initial intent of the search. Now, this last bucket, Eliana, is a little bit more what I would call a little bit more daring and just a little bit bolder alternatives of ways that you can try to make your page title stand out. I threw some brackets in there. I used all caps in there. And then the last one, this is an actual search that I found while doing some searches using that keyword tool.io of being able to find additional content on there. Yeah, this is a question that everybody gets asked. So why not create a page that answers that question? If you have the ability to show up for that, why not?
Why not? All right, I got a question for you. I noticed nowhere on here did you use the word pre-owned. You only use used. So, and I know if I did a search for a pre-owned car, I wouldn't use pre-owned, I would use used. So
wonderful question, and I'm glad you asked that. And some people on the call may have heard me talk about this before, but for those that haven't, it's a simple answer. Right now, Google is going through their changes in terms of this concept of the structured web and the semantic web, and being able to assign meaning and understanding the keywords and the phrases and the topics that are on a page. So if I have a phrase that says used cars for sale in Rochester, or pre-owned vehicles in Rochester for sale, Google knows that those mean the two same exact things. They understand the difference between that. So what I'm doing, and again, this is just the example for page titles, and I'll show you a little bit more on the next one too. But what I'm doing is I'm creating I'm building the topic. And in this case, if I'm using best used car dealer, maybe I'm using used car in the title, but I might use pre-owned in my page description.
Okay.
I also might throw pre-owned in my H1 header, and then obviously within the body of the text, I'm going to mix that up with using used or pre-owned and other words like that.
So
what I'm doing is
all the bases is what you
exactly
that,
what
right?
I'm doing is that's the concept behind this topic model, and that's what we're trying to do. We're not just trying to stuff in used car, used car, used car everywhere, or or pre-owned, vice versa. And again, what I'm trying to do here is just keep these examples anywhere from basic to creative to a little bit more bolder. Again, 60 to 70 character counts. You've got your pixel width there, and then on top of that, the recommended for the page description. And again, feel free to go longer. It's just going to get cut off. So if you've got a keyword phrase after those character counts, they're going to get cut off, and it's not going to be seen. And obviously, the goal for this is to be seen. So include the meat of that in there. And just as a note, all of these descriptions on here, these page titles that I've written, are under 60 characters. So these all fit within that limit.
They're awesome. Great suggestions. I have another question for you. Is there ever any instance when your website would have or should have two page titles that are the same, or multiple page titles that happen to be all the same?
The goal is not to. And that's what obviously one of the tools like Screaming Frog that I pointed out, Eliana, will hopefully hopefully help you find where those are. There's some instances, unfortunately, with some of the website providers out there that they're creating the dynamic URLs, and it's just the same shell of a page, and unfortunately you're just stuck with the same page title. But in those instances, there's really nothing we can do. What I'm worried about is I'm worried about creating the top level, top layer of the organizational structure that's needed for the pages that we can actually affect. And you should have enough control over your website platform, regardless of who the website provider is, to be able to make these changes to all of the pages that are in your navigation, and especially your new and your used and your certified and all of those pages that you ultimately want to get these users to. And again, keep in mind, what we're trying to do is just make it easier for the entire website, not just the home page, to be found in Google. Because a lot of people still to this day think that, oh, I just need to optimize the home page. Well, that's not true. You can also rank for your used page, your specials page, your certified page. Those can also be indexed, but they're not going to be if they have the same page title as the home page. And again, just to jump onto this, Ilana, for the pitch perfect page descriptions, as I call it, here's a couple of great examples that fall within that character limit that actually read like a different, unique ad. And keep in mind, everybody's description, for the most part, reads the same. And if yours is boring and doesn't grab your attention, then go out and rewrite it. It's that simple. I did these in about 2 minutes, per page. And just be able to write these in and throw in some caps. I've got an exclamation point in there. I've got a call to action. Something like wow, get somebody's attention. If wow is the first thing that somebody sees on that page that stands out amongst the other descriptions, you got to try whatever works and be able to do that.
Those are great.
Now the last one again is a little bit more, a little bit more off the beaten path, a little bit more creative, but it's something that if you want to be like that and you want to try something a little bit more outside the box, go get yourself a pair of Google Glass. Everybody can buy them now. You just go to google.com and search for them, and you'll wind up on the Google Glass page. But this is just a quick example of something I threw together. This took me about 10 minutes to actually just simply put my Google Glass on, get in a dealership's car, go take it for a test drive. I'm just talking about the car, the features, what I like, what I don't like. Give them some call to actions. Obviously, it took some time after the fact to edit it, but that's up to you in terms of how much time, obviously, you want to devote to that, or if you can just simply delegate it out to somebody else that has the editing skills on there. And I would rate this as a high importance level, because this is the type of content that essentially is going to do one major thing. It's going to get people's attention. And if you can send somebody in your emails, and everybody knows the importance of videos, but if you can send somebody something different that says, hey, you're looking at this 2009 used Acura RL. Hey, here's a quick driver's point of view, Google Glass view of this car. Check it out. Whatever, it's 2.5 minutes long. Take a look at that. You got to use whatever tool you possibly can. And if Google Glass is out there, tell your dealership to make the investment at $1,500 or buy a pair for yourself. You'll have some fun with it, and you'll be able to do some really creative stuff like virtual test drives, dealership tours, customer videos, whatever. The stuff is there. You guys just got to use it and be creative with it and make something that's going to be helpful and educational and be able to get people's attention. So with that, if I was on the call, this is what I would hope that you'd be able to come away with this on your end. Hopefully to be able to understand what the importance level is and what some of the tools are that can help you create additional content around your content. Hopefully you've got some tools out there to help you organize your content, and again, that's for every page, Ileana. And then on top of that, be able to clean up your NAP info. And your NAP, again, is your name, address, and phone number info. And keep that consistency going and keep that accuracy going to be able to make sure you can sign the authority to your business. And then lastly, just do whatever you possibly can to get inspired and create entertaining, helpful content and get the attention of today's shoppers whatever way you possibly can. That's probably the most important thing there. You want to open it up for some questions there, Juliana?
Awesome. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Eric. I love when we do a weekly webinar and I actually pick up a bunch of stuff as well. Eric, thank you so much. You are a fountain of knowledge. I love the stuff that you were putting out there today. And audience, if you loved it too, well, hopefully we'll hear from you about it. We're going to have a survey that's going to come out after the webinar is concluded, and I'd love to hear your feedback on Eric's presentation today. Now, we're going to get to your questions in just a minute, so if you haven't written your question in yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Now is a great time to write in your questions. We already have a handful of awesome questions in the queue ready to go. Before we get to those questions, though, we got some business to take care of, and I got to put on my Monty Hall hat here. This is great stuff you're giving away today, Eric. It's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, well, I announced that our good friends at Command Z Automotive Consulting are giving away not one, but 2 fantastic prizes today on the webinar. First, one of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a selfie stick with a Bluetooth remote. It is so cool. When he told me he was giving this away, I immediately said, I want one. Where can I get one? So he's giving this one away. It could be yours. And I want you to check out this shot of the selfie stick in action that Eric actually took. It is so cool. It is really, really neat, and I so very badly want one. But I'm not eligible, and you are. All you have to do is answer a simple question about the presentation you just saw. So I want you to get to your keyboards, get ready. Good luck, everyone. Of course, if there's any vendors out there, and I know you're out there, please, vendors, sit this one out if you wouldn't mind. This is just for the people at the dealership. Okay, everyone, good luck. Here you go. And this is not an easy question. You had to be paying attention to get this one. So good luck. What % of Google searches have never been seen before? Woo! I love it. The ladies came on. The first 3 answers were all from ladies. But alas, only one of you can win. Thank you so much for playing along, audience. The correct answer was 18%. And our winner today is Tamara Swats. Congratulations, Tamara. Boy, you have quick fingers, Tamara, because I know you've been a winner before. So congratulations, Tamara Swats. If you wouldn't mind, write on in, let me know what dealership you're from, and also, why don't you send me your mailing address as well, all right? But don't worry, audience, guess what? We have another prize for you today. I know I said we were giving away 2 prizes. Check it out. Next, one more lucky webinar attendee will win a mini Jambox Bluetooth speaker. Such a cool prize. You could be a winner today. You had to be paying attention. So I want you to, again, get to your keyboard. You have one more chance to win. Tamara Swats, you're already a winner, my love. So please sit this one out as well. Of course, you vendors, please sit this one out too. And here we go. Your question is, good luck everyone, your question is, how many pixels wide should your page title be? Wow. First person to write in had the correct response. That's Ian Bowers. Ian Bowers, you are a winner today, along with Tamara Swats. Ian Bowers, you have just won yourself a mini jam box. Let me write your name down. Ian Bowers. Okay, congratulations, Ian. He already said awesome.
Nice job.
Ian, I need you to write in your dealership name and your mailing address if you wouldn't mind. And Tamara wrote in, hooray, hooray, thank you, super excited, love the selfie here at Legacy Toyota in Tallahassee, Florida. And she gave me her mailing address. Thank you so much, Tamara and Ian, and thank you everyone for playing along. We really appreciate it. And, oh, somebody wants to know how to win the Google prizes. Okay, there's a survey that comes out to everyone after the webinar concludes. Simply fill out the survey. That's all you have to do. Fill out the survey, and then we randomly select 2 people from all the completed surveys who are going to win some Google prizes. So if you want to be eligible for a Google prize, you got to fill out the survey. We really would appreciate it. And Ian is from Don Mealy's Sport Mazda in Orlando, Florida. Thank you so much, Ian and Tamara, for playing along, and everyone else. Of course, we want to say congratulations to our winners, and thank you to our good friends at Command Z Automotive Consulting for their incredible generosity. Okay, Eric, are you ready for some awesome questions from our audience?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Let's go. Okay, first question comes to you from Amanda. Amanda wanted you to give us some help on meta descriptions. Do you have any advice on how to do a proper meta description?
Absolutely. Let me just jump back a couple slides. There's a couple descriptions right there. That's what I went over on this slide. Again, 160 characters or so, 160, 170. Keep your keyword phrases at the front. Include your dealership name. I would always include a location qualifier in there as well. But keep in mind, that description should describe what the context of the page is. It's that simple. And obviously make sure that they're not duplicating any other page. It needs to be its own unique description. But make it stand out. And I would honestly take a pad of paper, and I would take 20 minutes and just start writing 170. Almost think about it like you're writing a tweet almost. You know, it's like an expanded tweet. But just practice writing little ads. Any of the old school guys on the call that remember writing liner notes in newspapers, you had to make those things really pop. And you're doing the same thing here. It's a digital liner note.
Excellent. Okay, so Amanda, if you have any follow-up questions, please write on in and let us know. All right, this next question comes to you from Stephanie. Eric, you can go back to that other slide with all your contact information if you wouldn't mind. So Stephanie wrote in, she says, question for Eric, if you clean up the navigation, wouldn't the homepage look very cluttered if you made buttons for those around the page? I mean, what do you suggest? I mean, because I know, Eric, when you showed that graphic about all those things, you did take away a lot of stuff from those navigations. So if you made buttons for all those, I could see where the concern would be that Stephanie is having. What are your suggestions?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're working with your web provider, and most of today's web platforms, the newest the newest versions are all so much better than they were even 12, 18, 24 months ago. But you're working on a different grid pattern. It's a very clean, uncluttered look. But keep in mind, those items that I took out, even though there were a block of them, those were all repeated. So it's actually only a couple different call to actions that you might be putting further down. And on top of that, you might be repeating other higher important call to actions below the fold, so to speak, that you don't necessarily need to have down there. So it's a little bit of rebalancing, replacing out, and again, standard web design, web usability in terms of hierarchy, put the most important items at the top. If you've got something on there for a contest or if you do have the typical finance calculator type of stuff, if you want to take that stuff and you want to put that down the page, but think about at the end of the day what's important. That's your cars, your specials, obviously the appointment generators, your chat button, things like that. Keep those things up at the top. But again, it comes down to just making the rest of those, the lower level page, as uncluttered as possible with the appropriate hierarchy of call to actions.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, Stephanie, I know this is a big topic, so if you have a follow-up question, please write on in. We'd love to get to that as well, okay? All right, next question for you, Eric. I hope you're ready for it. It's from Kelly, and Kelly says, in simplifying navigation, how do you feel about type breakouts such as truck, SUV, etc.?
That's a tough one. Again, if you have, if you're referring to just an individual page that's under that for trucks, that might be a good thing just in terms of being able to organize that out. Some web providers nowadays they might have what they call an expanded drop-down, that when you hover over that top-level category, you get a monstrous block that'll come out with all of those sub-navigations. As long as they're organized properly, some of them even do a nice job of putting like a graphic or an icon next to that topic, so it makes it very easy to be able to find it. But again, I think if you're going to make a simple drop-down for new inventory that lists out, say, 30 different 30 different makes and models and things like that, that's going to be very, very confusing. And you can use that in a much better graphical interface. And I'll tell you real quick, everybody, too, when I had my dealership website, we had 3 different ways that you could find the cars. We had icons. So I would just simply put an icon on the car on there. I had my drop-down menu for the search, and I also had a text box. So you're taking care of 3 distinct different search methods. Sometimes you've got people that know exactly what they want. That's what the search bar is for. You've got people that are window shoppers. That's what the pictures are for. Then you've got your standard browsers. And again, all you can do is try to appeal to the different levels of intent at any given time for the shopper.
I got you. All right. Kelly has a follow-up question, too, if you wouldn't mind. She says, there's a number of places offering to manage directories for you. How do you feel about those sites? Do they undo their work when the money stops flowing? Oh, gosh, Kelly, I hope not. But, Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, all the platforms right now, for this, and this is such a good question, too. I'm glad you asked it. All these platforms, even Moz, even Yext, for any of them, whether it's somebody else that's managing it for you or you're doing it yourself, whenever that stops, typically what will happen is the information will unfortunately get overwritten, and that's just a function of the way that the APIs are written today and the control that segment of this this digital landscape has to function. It will probably change, because as of right now, there's only I think there's only a handful of direct APIs where you can go in and upload the stuff directly and manage it like that. The rest of them are all still manually updated. So until that changes, and until the control over those change, from the API landscape, unfortunately, that's all you're left with. But again, this is not the type of thing that when you start something like this, that it goes away. You don't do this for 6 months and say, okay, we're done, let's move on to the next thing. This is a permanent part of today's dealership marketing activities.
Oh, okay. We got a comment in from David. He says, I'm able to do a lot of the directory stuff through the back end, but it does take a while. But he does feel that it's very worth it. All right. Thank you so much for that comment, David. And Kelly, I know you have a follow-up question, so we're going to get to that in just a second. Next question for you, Eric, is from Jordan. Jordan says, okay, when doing page titles, pipes, commas, or hyphens? That's the entire question.
Great question. For a long, long time, and this was a personal preference, I liked the pipe divider. It was just I just liked the way they looked. Well, I've since changed that, and over the last 6 months or so, I've moved a lot more towards hyphens. And one of the reasons is a piece that I caught from Google's own usability blog, and the fact that Google has indicated that pipe dividers versus hyphens, pipes actually add essentially like a mental stop. So people read a word, they stop. They read a phrase, they stop. They read another phrase, they stop. whereas the pipe divider helps the user just flow along that. And on top of that, Google has also been experimenting recently with actually, if it makes sense to the user with the way that you've written your page titles and the context of it and the specific relevance to what the page is, Google is actually taking out the hyphen from your page title, and they're actually inserting other words like in, and in to try to help just with the readability, which also goes back to the original point in trying to make those things concise and make them readable. So you may not even have to put in those type of what typically are called stop words or slugs. You don't have to put in and in. And if you get, if you just happen to get one that works like that, Google will automatically change the hyphen to another word to help it actually make it appear more more user friendly.
Okay. You know what? Thank you so much for that, Jordan. Great question, by the way. Okay, got a question in from Kate. Kate says, what is the recommended video length of time? What's considered too short or too long?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of video length, anything that I've ever made, I've tried to keep it within that 2, maybe 3-minute range tops, but there's a lot of studies that I've seen out there that regardless of the video length, the average user only watches 70% of it. And that's why shorter video lengths obviously are much more popular, and that's also why a platform like Vine works so well, or Instagram videos, because they're so short, because people are just used to that instant gratification on a video, obviously on their mobile phone. Video length, video viewing obviously goes up when you start to look at desktop usage, and even now more so. And I look at my own usage. I may play a video on my Samsung Note, my Galaxy Note 3, but I will screencast that up and share that to my Samsung TV. So I'll actually watch more videos and I'll watch longer. But again, I think the end-all be-all is just what's the quality of the video. If the video is good enough, people are going to watch the whole thing.
Right, right. Thank you so much. Great question, Kate. Okay, well, I'm getting some interesting questions here.
What did Bill have to say?
Well, somebody wrote in, and they want to know. Well, no, let's get to the real questions first. Okay, this question is from Bill, but not the Bill you're thinking of. This is from a different Bill. Bill says, how does Screaming Frog differ from Google Webmaster Tool?
Well, for one, it's not going to give you the rest of the deep layer of information that the analytics and Webmaster Tools is going to pull. It's not going to give you obviously the search activity or the web the web crawling tools or the indexing items. Really this is just a straight up diagnostics tool. So it's one portion of that. But again, it's more of an efficiency tool. A lot of people will not even use the full range of tools within the Webmaster Tools. Basically the lineup of products that they have or features within the tool like that. So this is just merely a diagnostics tool.
Oh, okay. All right. Bill, thank you so much for the great question. If you have a follow-up question, please write on in and let me know. And by the way, audience, I know a lot of people are asking me about the Dealer Think Tank tickets. Now, I just want to remind you, the Dealer Think Tank is August 14th, and it's in Washington, D.C. And I said I was going to give away a ticket, and I did award the ticket to one David Sharp. Congratulations. Hope to see you there. But don't worry. You know what? Every week on my webinar, I'm going to give away another ticket. So if you didn't win today, then sign in next week for the webinar and write to me during the webinar, and you could be a winner. All right? So thank you so much for that. Also, we have a comment from Zachary who said that he went to the Dealer Think Tank in Cincinnati. Highly recommends it. Someone better take me up on that offer. So thank you so much. And yeah, really, really great. Ian wrote in, Eric, and he says that this webinar was extremely insightful. He wanted me to thank you for that. And somebody, oh, okay. Kelly wrote in, she has our last question, I believe. She says, for the lonely do-it-all, though you have an importance ranking on the slides, what would your 1 hour or less a day strategy suggestion be? Good question, Kelly. Okay, so if you only had 1 hour to put into this, Eric.
Yeah, I would start with the page title and page description cleanup. That's what I would start. In 1 hour, you can do a lot of damage every day. Take a couple pages, clean those up, and then move from that. Once you finally got through that, let's say it took you 30, 60 days. Second piece of that, step 2, move on to your content cleanup, and then step 3, I would move on to your local directory optimization.
Well, he just laid it out for you, Kelly, and everyone else. I hope you got all that. Great notes from today. I love the tweet suggestions, Eric. I never had a presenter do that, and now I think I'm going to have to make them all do that now. So thank you so much. One last question for you, Eric. Who is your best friend because he is listening?
Oh, that's Joe Webb.
You'd say it. All right. Thank you so much, Eric. You passed. And lots of people are writing in and saying great content, fantastic webinar, awesome presentation. Thank you so much, audience, for being here today. Eric, thank you so much for just such a wonderful webinar. It's filled with so much great nuggets of information. And audience, if you have never had the pleasure of dealing with Eric directly other than this webinar, I highly recommend you do so. His contact information is up on the screen. Please take up the suggestion and contact him directly for any of your needs if you need consulting needs. He is really wonderful and super, super nice guy, and obviously very, very knowledgeable. Eric, thank you so much for being here today. I hope it won't be long before we webinar again.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate everybody listening in. I love the industry. I love all the folks in our community, and I love helping. So, this really, really makes the day go by, that much better. It's awesome to do this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, audience, we have recorded this. We're going to be sending out that recorded link to you in a little bit. Give me a few hours to get it posted online. It's going to be at dealeron.com/webinars. And over there, you can click on On-Demand Webinars. And you can also check out our upcoming webinars, too, if you'd like, and sign up for those. So you'll be getting that very shortly. Now, this webinar is going to conclude in just a moment. And when it does, you're going to get a survey. Hey, thank you so much for writing in and telling us how great Eric was. But you know what? We'd love it even more if you'd wait for that survey and put your thoughts into there. Right, Eric?
Yeah, so one last thing, too. I want to make everybody really, really aware of this point, and this is important. This is not the magic bullet, end-all, be-all for your efforts. This has to be a piece of a much bigger effort in terms of your long-term lead management process, your merchandising efforts, your sales training efforts. This is just one piece, so don't think that you do this stuff and your troubles are all going to vanish. It has to be a part of a much bigger plan.
It always is, isn't it? Although we'd like a magic bullet, if you could come up with one, Eric, maybe for next time.
I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm working on it.
Okay. All right, go to the next slide. We're going to tell people about the survey. So you know what? We know Eric did a great job. We want to hear from you. So please go and fill out that survey, and a couple of people from all those completed surveys will also win some Google prizes. So I hope you're one of them, but you're not going to be a winner unless you fill out the survey, all right? And I want to also let you know that Dealeron is very excited to announce their involvement at, like I said, the upcoming Dealer Think Tank in Washington, D.C., August 14th. So if you didn't win the free ticket, don't worry, there's always next week. Or you can just use the Dealeron promo code that's on the screen, and you can score 50% off of the registration fee. And I want you to know, these dealer think tanks, they've been getting tremendous praise for their informative, fun-filled education workshops. They educate everyone from the greenest of the green to the most seasoned industry veteran. You don't want to miss it. It's also a heck of a lot of fun, and you got some great industry leaders that are going to be there talking about everything that they know best. If you're in the area and you don't want to miss it, I highly recommend you register for it as quickly as possible. And for more information, you can go to dealerthinktank.com. Hope to see you there. Invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. 5 ways live chat will help you sell more cars. Now, you don't need a master's degree in marketing to understand that quality customer service is crucial to the long-term success of your business. And the best way to swiftly and dramatically improve customer service on your dealership website is to implement a thriving live chat strategy. Live chat allows customers to chat with a business in real time to ask questions, get advice, and build confidence. It vastly improves their shopping experience and your bottom line. So it's no surprise that live chat is now the preferred method of communication by today's impatient shoppers. And dealers are just beginning to explore the most effective ways to implement this not-so-new technology. In this exciting one-hour webinar, presentation, Todd Smith, CEO of Active Engage, will show you 5 ways live chat will help you sell more cars. Todd is going to use real-world examples from various dealers' experiences and demonstrate best practices for connecting with online shoppers through live chat to greatly increase conversion, customer loyalty, branding, and sales. So if you're ready to learn 5 ways live chat is going to help you sell more cars, well, this is one webinar you just can't afford to miss. Don't forget, Dealeron's weekly webinars are held every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some really great webinar subjects planned for this year, but if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you, so track me down online. I'm everywhere. Google+, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on all the automotive social networks. And you can even email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.